Welcome back.
to Greenlight Studio. We just saw Backrooms, the new 2026 horror movie.
Now, just to give a little background, I'd just like to say I'm not familiar with the Backrooms at all.
Yeah, I like the Backrooms as an idea, but Kane Pixel series specifically, I've done basically nothing. Like, I watched like the first video, and I think that was it.
I've watched the oldest view though.
Yes,
It's probably the scariest thing I've ever seen. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't completely disagree.
But let's get into this movie.
Yeah. So, like the last one, we'll do two sections. So, this first section will be a spoiler-free section.
We'll give
and
you a
then-
star rating.
Yeah, we'll give you our star rating, and then we'll give you a quick spoiler warning, and then we'll get full on into spoilers. This is being released, or this video is being released on a Thursday, which I think a lot of people don't even know that major movies come out the day before they actually come out. So, for some people, they're probably like, how did you get this movie?
Yeah, we like booked a screening actually. Yeah.
Yeah, we actually
Just for
snuck
us.
into the theater.
Yeah, they
We were sneaking around.
actually paid us to go see it.
They
Like,
didn't. They did not do that. Anyway, so sorry.
if they did pay us,
If they did pay us, it would be a lot of money.
we would be saying better things than we are now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's a quick spoiler. That's a quick spoiler to the spoiler-free section.
Because it was kind of mid.
It was kind of mid. I wanted to like it so much more than I did. And really quick, before we get into some potential like issues with the movie, I would like to say, being that Kane Pixels, the director, is only 19 years old, I mean, really, like this movie is so impressive, especially visually, which I'm pretty sure he did like by himself. It's very impressive. And directorial wise, I basically have no complaints. My complaints are almost entirely with the script itself. So let's just give one clap to Kane Pixels.
And I think that that was really stupid.
That was a little stupid.
I think, I just want to get the positives out of the way.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I want to get the positives out of the way because visually, there's some good stuff in here. There's
Stunning. I think
good
this
stuff getting
is
cooked up.
A beautiful movie.
Yeah, it looks good. Sometimes when we're outside of the back rooms, a little bit distractingly good with like the framing and such. There's some cool like frame within a frame type stuff.
Yeah, there were some Wes Anderson-esque shots, and that's very much a compliment.
It's good, and I think I'm gonna say this right now. We've talked very little about what you actually think about the movie.
Yeah.
I get a general idea, but I think that whenever this movie is going found footage, like harkening to the Backrooms roots, I think it's like genuinely very effective.
Yeah.
And I'll get into outside of the found footage sections a little later, but it's shot in a way where like you will see things and it's like, oh, was that a scary thing, or is it just like your eyes maybe making that up, and that's cool.
Yeah.
It's effective.
And if you've watched The Oldest View, another Kane Pixels YouTube series, you would know very similar. And I could be wrong about this. I'm pretty sure those found footage sections were also made in Blender.
Okay, I was actually wondering that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those found footage sections are kind of like The Oldest View.
Yeah.
And it was those parts were good.
Yeah. Incredibly effective, very scary. Like
They nail that aesthetic.
And this is like, this goes for all found footage movies, but especially this one where like the threat itself didn't really make itself clear. Like being tied to a character's eyes, seeing only what they see, it's so much scarier. Like it is, especially in a theater. This was like, like I haven't seen many found footage sections in movies in theaters, and like being with the sound design was really good in this one, and it was really scary. There were some really scary parts, in my opinion.
But honestly, like, I think that's all I have to say, like, really positive wise. And I'm not saying this is a horrible movie. There's just not too terribly much to say.
Yeah, I think everything is there's. I think when it's good, it's really, really good, and when it's bad, it's pretty bad. And then a lot of the time, it's just kind of mid. You know?
Yeah, I would say overall pretty mid. And the Backrooms, the Oldest View, right? These are more like experiences, right? Like they're true found footage. I mean, they're not actually found footage, but they give you that experience where it's like, it's more about the suspense and the scares, But the standards are different when it's an actual movie. You know, you gotta have a story. You got to have a beginning, middle, and end. And you got to have some good characters.
Yeah.
And I think that when you translate the Backrooms to that movie standard, it doesn't quite live up to it.
I agree. I think, like you said, like you have to have those good characters. As much as I wanted to like the characters, I thought they were very well acted. I can't really say I took much from them, and I think the movie tried to get very like, I don't know the word, like when a movie thinks it's smarter than it actually is.
This is true.
I very much felt that, especially near the end. It got very like, trying to be philosophical, and I just think all of that kind of failed.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think what it felt like to me was, I'm just gonna say up front.
Yeah.
I didn't care for the characters.
Mm-hmm.
The guy main character is unlikable, and that is kind of the point, but I don't think it's done that well.
Yeah.
And the girl,
Female main character.
the female main
Yeah.
character, is just really boring and bland.
Yeah.
And they try to do some flashbacks with her, but those flashback moments are like, wrap it up. It feels so boring.
Yeah.
And what it felt like to me was they were like, okay, we got these two blank slates. How do we make them actual characters? It felt forced. It felt like, okay, what can we do to give this some layers? And it didn't feel natural.
Yeah, I felt the same way, where like the backstory building was very artificial, especially with the main male character. I didn't believe his story at all. Like, it felt so just throw something in there to make him seem a little more tragic than he really is. And the parts of the movie where they really try to highlight that, again, like I said, I thought they were very well acted, but there was basically no substance to them. And I can't say I really cared about any of the characters. So like, if they may or may not have found themselves in a situation, I don't know that I was rooting for or against them. I was kind of just watching to see what would happen. Yeah, exactly.
I think you put it like that was a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly how I feel too. And the actual opening scene was good.
It was so good.
It was basically just a Backrooms video.
Yeah.
But then after that, once you get introduced to the characters, the way they introduce these characters is through a therapy session, which is like, if you know anything about filmmaking,
So cliche.
a very cliche, lazy outlet
Yeah.
for exposition and explaining character motivations and feelings. And from that moment, I was like, ooh, this might not be that good.
Yeah. And I thought, like, I honestly I didn't think it made a ton of sense all the time. Like, I would like to, I definitely understood the movie, don't get me wrong. Like, I understood what it was trying to say, but I felt like the way they did it, it just didn't necessarily translate. And I think general audiences are going to be really confused because
It's forced.
it's very forced. And I think, like, now, I think it was done in a way that it's like, it's definitely an eerie movie. Like, I think it was more eerie than scary. There were some parts that were very scary, but I think it was a very eerie movie. And I don't know, like, I think some of it was just in there to be weird, and the backstory was kind of secondary. Like, let's do something that looks cool or looks scary, and just, don't think about how that happened or why that's happening.
Kind of like Smile.
Kind of like Smile.
And we just saw Obsession, that's fresh on our minds. And that's a movie where before we get into the horror stuff, it's still compelling.
Yeah.
This was like, it felt like it was kind of bad dialogue just to get out the backstory of the characters and then get to the meat, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it just, the section where we're just doing exposition for the characters was not interesting at all.
Mm-hmm. And talking about Obsession, I saw Obsession a second time recently, and I actually liked it better. I think if I saw this movie a second time, I would like it less, because I wouldn't be as surprised. And like, obviously I would be less surprised the second time, but in like a good movie, the surprises, you can like see what leads up to them. And so, not reviewing Obsession again, but seeing the surprises in themselves and like seeing how they led up to them was really interesting. And I wouldn't get anything here from a second viewing of this movie. Like, I think it's watchable the first time, but I can't see myself really ever rewatching this movie.
This is true. And speaking of Obsession, this movie and Obsession are roughly the same length.
Yeah.
And I think this movie, much worse pacing.
Mm-hmm.
I was also like pretty lightheaded. I hadn't eaten or drinking much, to be honest. But I was like, man, I really just want to get out of this theater in the last like 40 minutes. I was like, please, I wanted them to wrap it up. And it felt longer than it was. And honestly, an hour, 50 plus minutes it's too long for a Backrooms movie. It is.
And this isn't this is not a spoiler, but the ending itself kind of surprised me. Like I felt like the whole, so not getting into spoilers here, but the whole third act was very bloated, I think, and
Messy.
for what was probably only a third of the movie's runtime, felt like it felt like the majority of it. And that's when they really started to get into like that weird philosophical character background stuff that we were talking about. And the ending itself kind of came at a weird time and doesn't really work, I don't think.
It felt like, especially with the third act, that they were just throwing poop at the wall and hoping that something would stick.
Yeah.
And then the ending kind of ends with a whimper.
And I'm not going to argue, some of it stuck. And in the spoiler section, I will talk about what stuck, in my opinion. But I would say really only like 20 to 25% of what they were doing was actually something that I enjoyed and thought was compelling and thought was interesting. The rest of it was just kind of there to, for some reason, pad the runtime when it really didn't need it. I felt like this movie felt like it needed to be long, even though it didn't. Like, I feel like a lot of movies, you'll hear like, oh, they cut out 20 minutes of deleted scenes and there will be a lot. I would be surprised if there's any deleted scenes. Like, it felt so much like they were padding this movie to be over 2 hours for some reason. And I don't know, like you said, again, that third act just is throwing so much at you and really none of it's all that interesting.
And I mean, I think we're going to head to spoilers soon.
Yeah.
But I think one last thing I wanted to say was I was comparing the actual like Backrooms videos to the movies. Mm-hmm. I think that when the Backrooms is at its peak, right? When that style of analog horror is at its peak, is when you're not really sure what's happening, right?
Yeah.
Is when you don't really actually see the thing that's scary. You don't see the threat. And it's all left. It's just the suspense of it. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, what was that sound? Or oh, did I just see something? When you start to show the threat more, and when you start to actually visualize the scares more, it becomes less scary.
Yeah,
and I think that this movie has a found footage section in the beginning, and then later. After the later one, it shows way too much, and
I agree.
It makes it not scary.
I agree, because I think the scariest scene, besides the opening scene, which I think was done really well, is a scene where you don't see anything. And
exactly.
And I'm sure we're thinking of the same scene.
It peaks there, and then after that, I just wasn't scared at all.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared at all.
I thought there was maybe one effective scare, and they tried so many times. Like, they tried so many times to scare, and I thought only one of them worked, and it still even wasn't that scary.
And dare I say on that note, it was kind of silly.
Yeah.
It was kind of goofy and silly.
I agree. I think... Oh, man, I can't talk too much about this without getting into spoilers. But what I'll say is the whole idea of it being the unknown,
unknown. That's a Return to Sender reference.
That is a Return to Sender reference. Yeah, like you said, it struggles because at a certain point they try to make you, be scared of the thing itself, and, I don't know.
So let's give this a star rating.
Yeah.
I would recommend this if you're a big fan of the Backrooms, because you're gonna see it anyway.
Yeah.
Other than that, no rush to see it.
Yeah.
No rush.
I would say this is, if you're not a fan of the Backrooms, or like, I wouldn't call it a found footage a movie, but there is some found footage, and I think found footage fans will be very impressed by it. So if you're willing to sit through maybe an hour, 30 minutes of things that isn't found footage for the 15 to 20 minutes of things that are, because they're very good, I would probably recommend it also.
Yeah. I'm gonna give this a 3 stars, but it's teetering on that 2.5. It's a low 3 stars, honestly.
I 100% agree. My logic was, considering let's say a 2.5 is like a 50%, obviously it is. If you go above that, I would say you like the movie. If you go equal or below that, you dislike the movie. I would also give it a 3. Just
fine.
because I liked it more than I disliked it. However,
it's a nothing burger.
It was a nothing burger. Definition of my opinion, of mid.
Yes, I agree. And now I think we're ready to get into spoilers.
Let's get into spoilers.
3, 2. Oh wait, anything else?
No, I was also going to count down, and then I realized you were counting.
3, 2, 1.
Okay,
spoilers.
I'm going to say it. The first time they show the monster, it's scary. Like, I was scared the first time they showed the monster, because the design is very weird. But then, once they show it and actually show it, It's really stupid.
It is.
It's really stupid. And the actual like monster in the Backrooms videos is so much scarier, and I don't know why they didn't just go with that.
Thematic reasons.
Yeah, I know, but like they could have wrote it in. If they for the amount of things that they just wrote in, they could have made it the same Backrooms monster. Because so we're in spoiler section, so I can just tell you, the monster, it looks really stupid because it's just the main character, the male main character. But the whole point is that like the Backrooms, it knows things, but it misremembers little details. And the analogy is like trying to describe a dog to someone
who's never seen a dog and they have to draw, and which is stupid. Like that
it's
was
really stupid.
It was.
They
stupid
said that 5 times.
It was stupid the first time. Then the next time they said it was like,
yeah, they were like, "Oh, this is gonna be tough. Let's say it again," and it wasn't tough.
it was like circular storytelling, super deep.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
And
deep.
so it was a slightly misremembered Clark, the main character. And it was scary the first time because it had that like It Follows shot of like something tall walking into a dark room. But you know, the once they showed it again and again and again and again, it just wasn't scary anymore. And that was the whole third act basically.
Yeah. That third act, it just felt like they were throwing poop at the wall and seeing what stuck.
Yeah, and really only like 20% of it did.
And then the ending just ends in a whimper.
Yeah.
Know? They have the Mark Duplass character show up twice in the movie. Mm-hmm. And
which you didn't know was...
I did not know he was in there.
Yeah.
My jaw was on the floor. And then they did nothing with him. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking to myself as it was approaching the climax of the film, I was like, okay, at least it's finally over, because I already said I was a little bit bored by it, or at least wanting it to end. Mm-hmm. It wasn't terribly boring. But then I thought to myself, oh, wait, there's also that Mark Duplass character that they set up and haven't done anything with, so they have to wrap that up too. By wrap it up, all he does is knock out Mary and then start explaining to her really unnecessary exposition, quite frankly. And then the movie just cuts to the credits.
Yeah, she starts zoning out, and that's the end. A big crescendo is like she starts not paying attention to what he's saying. And then literally, like, that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And it was just so out of nowhere. I didn't mind that the movie was over. I didn't need it to go on any longer.
Definitely
but
not.
For how long the third act was, it just ended on nothing.
You could tell they didn't know what to do. They had like some ideas like, oh, this could be scary. Oh, this could be scary. They shoved it together and then didn't know how to cap it off.
And like, I mean, you might disagree with me, but I don't think it needed to be explained at all. Like, I think it would have been scarier had we not seen the Backrooms monster. Like, I think some people for sure would be disappointed, like, oh, I want to see what's chasing them. I would have preferred they didn't show it. Maybe show it once, because as I said, the first time they showed it was kind of scary, but I didn't need it explained to me twice. And there literally are 2 scenes where Mary gets knocked out and gets the Backrooms explained to her. They do that twice, and it's long every time. And
Mark Duplass' character also makes it less scary. Like, it gives it too much, makes it feel too organized in a way. It's like, what's scary about the Backrooms is the mystery. Like, it's the liminal space, and you're making it not liminal. Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure that is in the YouTube series. I'm not sure. As we said before, we're not too experienced with that. But yeah, like, it just felt so unnecessary. And okay, like, that's the thing, is I'm sure Backrooms fans will like that part, because it's like, oh, look, that's the company. I forget what the company was called. But for me, like a general audience member, and I think probably what the majority of the audience will be, it was fan service.
They're just going to be shrugging their shoulders, you know?
Yeah, it was fan service that was for a series that probably doesn't have as many fans as they think it does.
It's a passionate fan base, but it's not a big fan base.
Yeah, like in like a Star Wars movie, like you can have fan service because everybody knows Star Wars, but if your whole big payoff is a company that no one really knows by name that makes the Backrooms feel less isolated, then it kind of hurts the movie when they were trying to add to it.
Yes.
And something personally that kind of annoys me, and I am going to spoil another movie really quick, Barbarian, is I hate when main characters experience something, they discover something, and you know, the camera follows them, they're confused, so it's a slow discovery section. It takes like 10 minutes, and there is one in the Backrooms. What annoys me is when they go back and it's a different character and it happens again. And in 2023's Barbarian, they do a good job of not doing that because it's slightly different, and Justin Long's character is making the same discoveries, but like in a different way, basically. That's all I'm going to say. But in this movie, Mary, the female main character, just makes all the same discoveries that Clark did in like the same amount of time. So you basically just get first time entering the Backrooms part 2, taking it very slow. And this is in Act 3 when it's already kind of boring and bad. And I don't know, it was just so unnecessary. And so I can't remember if I mentioned this before, but I feel like a lot of movies, they try to really keep the runtime kind of low. And there's so many like deleted scenes, and you might hear like, oh, 20 minutes got cut from this movie. This movie, it felt so much like they needed to meet like a 2-hour quota. And because there were so many scenes where it was just so long and unnecessary. And I don't know, I was getting a little annoyed by that at a certain point.
You could feel the difficulty translating analog horror to a feature film narrative.
Yeah.
And those difficulties are present.
Yeah.
I would also like to say the movie does peak with the middle section that is in found footage.
Mm-hmm.
There's like in the Christmas tree room.
Tree.
That scene was so effective and so good.
Really
and
scary.
they show like the monsters, and that's the best scare.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, like he goes into like some bathroom, and like you can see someone pick up the camera, and that was really, really good.
I thought that was really well done.
Really, yeah, well done.
Yeah.
And then after that, it is no longer scary, because you get this cornball scene where she's the first time she gets knocked down unconscious, and then it has stuff explained to her. Where like he's at the table, Clark and Mary are at the table, and that scene, you could tell that they were thinking, "Ooh, this is really unsettling and disturbing and eerie and edgy and also kind of deep." And it was none of those things.
It was not any of those things.
I was not scared the entire time. I was not on edge at all, and I'm not trying to be tough or edgy because it doesn't take that much to put me on edge in a movie. But it just was really not effective.
Yeah, and I think there's this big like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think there's this big like attitude, and I honestly think Hereditary is like the main movie to do this, but I think a lot of modern day horror movies are like, what can we do to really disturb the audience, to really make them like crawl in their seats? And this movie totally tried to do that in that scene with like they don't feel pain, let's stab them and then rip their stomach out. It was really stupid, and the visuals were kind of cool, I guess, but like it wasn't scary or unnerving.
And they make those characters and the scare that I talked about in the Christmas tree room so much less scary by showing that they're not a threat.
Yeah.
And that they're basically made of stuffing, and they don't do anything. They just stand there.
Yeah.
And one of them like turns on a light sometimes. And it's like,
oh,
it's goofy. It's goofy.
It is. It's really goofy. That scene it was honestly kind of funny at a certain point.
It was.
And that was
way
very
too
much
drawn
not
out.
the intention.
Yeah. It was.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Oh, I was just going to say something you mentioned was like, there's so many dumb decisions that the characters make.
I meant to say that in the spoiler-free section, but I forgot.
And like the amount of times that a character will do something, obviously you have to give them a little bit of leeway. They had to go into the Backrooms to make the movie work. I'm not going to argue with that. However, some of the reasons that they go into the Backrooms and the lengths that they go into the Backrooms, like at a certain point, they need to go in for 2 seconds, film it for a second, just to prove to the therapist, Mary, that it's real. And instead, they end up going super deep into it and end up getting trapped in there for something that, at the end of the day, they could have gone in for 1 second, filmed, left, and that would have been the end.
Yeah, there was no reason for them to actually go deep into the Backrooms. And like
at all.
And in stuff like The Oldest View and analog horror like that, like it's more about the experience, like I said, and it's you're not really thinking, oh, that's an illogical choice, because it's not real characters. Now you're trying to make real characters. You're trying to make a believable story within like the realm of the world that's set up, right? And it just takes you out of the movie when the character already knows there's a threat in the Backrooms, runs out and gets scared. First time he goes back in to take a stool. I don't know why he did that. I thought to be like explained later, like he was planning something. I don't know why I did it. And then later goes back in just to, again, like you said, prove. And he had no reason to go any further into the back room. He had zero reason to do that. And yet he did it. And then later he's like running through the back room trying to find a way out. And then he sees the Christmas tree room, which I did say that was the best scene in the movie, but it's distracting how he just starts filming the Christmas tree. He like films it for a whole minute. Like, whoa,
what is this? I've never seen this before.
And he films it for like genuinely like a full minute, just stands there. He goes from running to just like filming this.
And there was no reason that the threat couldn't chase him into there, by the way.
Yeah, and like the scene, individually, the scene was good. And that's the thing about this movie. It's got individually good scenes and well done moments.
Yeah.
But put together, doesn't make for a very good movie.
Yeah. And I think that is definitely like the main takeaway is like the highs are very high. I wouldn't say the lows are like very low, but the lows are noticeably low. And the majority of it just kind of rides the wave of being mid. And I think the word mid kind of has like a connotation of just being bad. I don't think it's bad. I really do think mid, like mid as in the middle. It was neither good nor bad for the majority of it. And like before we sign off, I feel like the spoiler section has been a lot of complaints. I will say, like, really quick, just for what it is, a full-on like major motion picture being made for one screenshot that was posted on like Reddit or 4chan at the beginning, it's awesome. And I think that Kane Pixels is one of, along with like Curry Barker and a lot of these YouTube horror guys, I think they're the future of horror, and that's super exciting because there's a lot of directorial talent there. I just think he needed a better script to work with, because I really think directorially was the biggest takeaway. I think it was really well directed.
And I think just the idea of making a movie out of the Backrooms, like I said, turning that analog horror into a narrative, it's tricky.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him do something that is original.
Yeah, and I think if he's given like an original horror script, he will kill it. I really think like he is a very talented director.
Maybe just a fully found footage movie.
I agree. I think it would be really scary.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. Just a mid-nothing burger movie.
I agree. I won't really be thinking about it that much.
No, again, individually scary moments.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say there's more, when it comes to scares, more misses than hits.
I agree.
But
if you're going to this movie to be scared, I think you're going to be a little disappointed. I think you're going to be very impressed by like 2 or 3 things, and then the rest of it you're going to be like, oh, that's it.
Yeah,
because that was kind of my attitude.
Guess a lot of this could have been spoiler free. But
yeah,
that's about it.
That's about it. Yeah. So thank you for watching. I will recommend the movie genuinely. I think it's a good watch.
If you have interest, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah. But I definitely don't think it's a masterpiece, and I'm excited. I really hope though for Kane Pixels. I really hope this movie does well. I think he is very talented, and I would love to see this be the #1 movie, because Kane Pixels would be the youngest director to ever have a #1 movie.
And with that said, enjoy Greenlight Studio.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.